I think that this is a player who can, immediately make your defense better. And he looks game day ready in practice. What's happening, everybody? I am back with another one of these Scout Speak episodes where I'm going to be doing some kind of a film watch. This one's going to be a little bit different than what I've done before. Before I was doing high school athletes, and we're doing film evals, just more so about film structure and things like that. But since I've been since I've been scouting a lot of players in high school over the last, 6-7 years in Colorado, I want to, it's probably been closer to 8 years. I want to start talking about some of the guys in the portal. There are a lot of players who I scouted when they were in high school, who are in college, and who have and currently are and will be going through the portal stuff. So we're going to start off this one with Dre'Monti Jackson. Now, Dre played at Far Northeast when they were still Far Northeast before Montbello High School reopened and brought the football team back. There was like a merger at one point in time. They opened the school back up, and they were still having they still had a Far Northeast team, which was the varsity team basically, and then the lower level was at Montbello until they finally worked those years out, and now it's back to being Montbello High School. But when Dre was in high school, it was Far Northeast. So he was a Far Northeast Warrior at the time. Got to watch him. I mean, the track star he was a track star who was on the football field. Kid is legit. So looking at he is in the portal. Dre actually reached out to me and saw a tweet that I put out saying that I was thinking about dabbling in the transfer portal stuff. I am not a transfer portal expert. Okay. I don't really deal with it because I deal mostly at the high school level, but I am going to start doing my homework and doing my due diligence on the portal to be a little bit more informed, to try to continue to help these players when they're at the next level, not when they're just in high school. I think it's important for us to remain in the corners of our student athlete and, I don't want to say our youth because Dre is clearly in his 20s, but still the younger generation and the young guys that we watched grow up since they were kids. I think it's important for us to continue to help them. So we're just going to go ahead and get in this. Okay, so Dre he is currently transferring from Colorado State University at Pueblo, so CSU-P. It's a D2 school. It's a top D2 school in the RMAC, a well-known D2 school known for producing top talent. And we're going to go ahead and we're just going to jump into what he has here. So before I get fully into his film and kind of go over what I see there, I am going to talk about his stats real quick. So over his career, he's had listed 41 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 10 pass breakups, and 1 sack. This past season, the 2025 season, so those were career stats. His most recent, though, 11 solo tackles this year, 9 assists. The 1.5 sack came this season. He had 3 interceptions this season, 2 in one game against Mesa, Colorado, and then he had 1 at Adams State and 3 pass breakups this year. And I think one of those was at Mines as well. So very talented player. Looking at his size, he's still listed at 5'10", 175 is what he has there. Dre is talented, though. Very talented. So again, let's just go ahead and jump into this film, see what we got here. All right, in shot. So before I start, film structure for high school players versus film structure for transfer portal guys are going to be very different. I'm not going to harp on anything structurally for the most part when it comes to transfer portal film, because these guys are already in college. So things are a little bit different for them. They're not trying to make the same type of impressions high school kids are. So just wanted to put that out there. But to start, we got Dre right here. So he's a nickel corner, as well as he plays some safety, and he'll play some corner as well. But I think from the film that I watched, and watching Dre, I think that nickel corner spot, so the slot defender and then his safety work, are probably two of my favorites. But I do think that if you're a slot defender and you can play some free safety, middle of the field type guy, which I do think he is, you can play those two positions, and you should be a guy that could rotate out here to corner. Especially if you play here, you should be able to play here. If you play back here, you kind of, if you can play here and here, then you can play here as well. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. All right, let's go ahead and look at this. Good coverage there, just sinking into coverage, just carrying up, not sitting in space. Really good athleticism, And so one thing I like about that is, looked like he was a little late, but he's got that makeup speed. And again, just knows where to sink, knows where to get to his landmarks, and plays the ball in the air, high point. It's a good job at being some ball hawking skills. And look at that sack coming right there off the edge. Never saw him. Very instinctual. All right, a lot of the times when you see guys, that was great. That was great recovery, getting downhill, making that tackle. Good fluid with his hips there. Where are we at? Okay. There he is, coming down, making that tackle. Way to finish. I like how he's able to finish his tackles. Attacks the hip there on the break, gets to the man, runs that route, drives him. Good contact, stays with his guy. Slot guy again with the towel. Slot guy. I like that pressure step there. Good job maintaining his leverage, knowing where to be, not getting fooled. Finishing tackles. I mean, he flies around. Outside here in the slot, blowing up that block, and just that's a great job. So that shows a lot of physicality as well. Look at him coming downhill, making a tackle, finishing there. Here we are. Just staying with his man in coverage, and he does a really good job. I like the fluidness of his hips there. I think there's another one that you'll be able to see here soon when he opens up and has to speed turn a couple of times. I mean, his man coverage is solid. I like that, right? He can cover space, and he's quick. Breaks down, analyzes, got out of that read step very quickly to understand that he didn't have to go anywhere. Not just vacating for no reason. Comes downhill, finishes tackles. That's what you want out of a slot guy. He's got to be physical. He's got to be smart, and he's got to have the acceleration and that quickness. And I think that Dre has all of that. Very twitchy. So that's his film. That's his film for his transfer stuff. Now, I'm almost positive he's got coaches hitting him up. I mean, some guys, as soon as they go in the portal, it automatically starts to hit for him. This is a guy that, again, watching him in high school, he's one of the fastest athletes that we had out here. Very dangerous. And then you can see in his film that, the takeaways that I got from his film, okay, he's a twitchy athlete. Twitchy athlete. He's got good change of direction, great acceleration. He's a physical player who finishes his tackles as well. He can play the ball. He plays the ball in the air. He plays the hands of the receivers for these pass breakups. All right, his instincts show up on film. A lot of that stuff that sometimes in high school, for high school guys and for some other guys, I harp on the little things of that first step of not moving, of not moving correctly, of moving late, catching guys late. When you have the instincts that Dre has, you're going to be able to do all that stuff, and it allows you to move different. It allows you to be a little bit more comfortable. You might be late, you might be earlier, but because of his speed, his overall acceleration, he can make those tackles, and he can make those plays where he's that there was that one where it looked like he was a little bit late off of the receiver's break, but he was able to make up that space that showed that makeup speed. He was able to make up that space, close that gap, and then play the ball in the air right at the hands of the receiver to make that an incomplete catch, to break up that pass. So the instincts pop up on film, and that instincts are one thing that's very hard to teach, right? Like that's a trait that's developed. When your instincts get to the point to where it determines what type of player you are, a lot of that has to do with you being able to understand what's going on. And that just comes from paying attention, right? You can't comprehend it for them as a coach. We can only do so much when we're coaching kids, but at some point they have to be able to comprehend it and understand what's going on and break it down for themselves. And that's something that you're getting with a player like Dre, and who's also has the experience of being on the field. I mean, this is a right now type of guy. If you're looking for a slot defender right now to come in and play, I mean, he's right here. He's right there in coming out of Pueblo. That's definitely somebody to check out. And then that last clip, that's the one that I was talking about, where his hips are a little bit fluid. You get to see him open up one way, flip back the other, and then there's a couple of times in there where you see his speed turns and how quick he is to get around. A lot of the times he's playing with his eyes, where it looks like he's staring in the backfield. Normally that's an issue for Dre. His instincts, going back to that, his instincts kind of helps out with him being able to know where his receiver is. He usually, if you watch that film, break it down, he usually has his hands on that receiver, or he's leaning on him a little bit, so he knows where the receiver is. So if his eyes aren't on his man, his eyes are in the backfield, he at least knows where his man is. That's a big instinct thing. It's not necessarily something that we coach like that, but it is something that certain players can develop to be able to do, and that's awesome. That's outstanding for him. And he does really well. Again, he does really well at breaking to the receivers when he is getting those breaks, or when he's jamming guys at the top of their routes. You notice that when he breaks to a receiver, he breaks to that near hip almost immediately, and then that athleticism. And there was a play where he had a lot of changing of directions, and it's really good, man. Really, really good. I fully expect for Dre to land something. I mean, I don't think he's gonna be one of those guys that goes in the portal and doesn't end up with anything. I do fully believe that Dre is a very talented player. So right here, we're actually looking at some more of his practice film, just seeing how he looks in practice. And I mean, he looks game day ready in practice, right here. Again, breaking immediately to his man, breaking to that hip. Look at that. Escorts him out. So that's a big deal for me. That's something that I talk about a lot when it comes to high school guys and coaching. When we're playing certain coverages, what I don't want to see you do is just kind of point at a guy, take a step the way that he's going, and then let him go. I like to say we need to escort him out of that area as much as possible before we have to get back to our zone to get to where we need to be. And if you notice, that's exactly what he does on this last play of this practice film here. He escorts this guy out before getting back to where he needs to be. So that gives that safety time to come over. It gives that corner over here time to get deep if he needed. Gives this safety time to come over. That's actually a really good play, right? And that's one of those that it freezes up the quarterback, messes up his timing. He can't throw that. The one receiver is still kind of, he's kind of capped by that corner. And then you have the two receiver who doesn't really start to get free until here. Now, assuming that the safety looks like he bailed middle of the field, and that looks like that's a backer that's dropping to that middle hook. So yeah, that's a really good play. And then for him to be able to come back across the field and get a hand on that ball to keep the one receiver from being, I mean, that's a guy that can cover space. So if anybody's, looking in the transfer portal, which all of these coaches are, they are all looking in the transfer portal. This is a player right here who in high school was that guy. I think in college could obviously be a good addition to a team that is looking for a right now slot player. I'm not going to try to make any, predictions about where he goes in the portal or anything like that. But I do think if he stays at the D2 level, that's understandable. Depending on where he goes, what team wants to pick him up. I do think that this is a playoff contributor for a D2 team. I think the same thing if he goes FCS. I think that this is a player who can, immediately make your defense better. So if you're a team like, I don't know, Northern Colorado, who just lost a lot of guys to the transfer portal from your secondary. And don't get me wrong, Northern Colorado did a really good job of developing their defensive backs in that secondary group. And watching a lot of those guys who are from Colorado and have played right here in state, I mean, there's a lot of similarities between them when they were in high school and Dre when he was in high school. There's just differences of coaches at the time and who's where and who's evaluating. But I do think that, in a perfect world for me, Dre getting to UNC would help to fill some of those gaps at UNC that just opened up for UNC for the transfer portal with their secondary. So this is a player, again, those are just my personal thoughts and opinions on the recruiting part of it, of where I would like to see him land. But I think that, there's no reason why he shouldn't be considered to move up. I mean, this is a right now player if you're looking to elevate your defense right now. So you've seen his phone number. It's right there. There's his email. DMs are open. Reach out to him. He's legit. Till next time.